We got this big news from Shams Charania in the middle of last week that Denver was trading, essentially dumping Dario Saric's contract, which was a win in and of itself, to bring in Jonas Valanciunas, a one-for-one swap. Sacramento saves a little bit of money, and Denver gets their answer to backup center. But then some breadcrumbs coming out shortly thereafter that Jonas Valanciunas isn't too privy to the idea of continuing to play, not for the Nuggets, but play in the NBA in general. There's some thoughts about him going out to Europe, wanting to spend the rest of his career out there. Well, go check this out at denversports.com. The latest report is the Nuggets, quote, fully intend, end quote, to have Jonas Valanciunas honor his contract. Here's what Shams Charania reported online. He says Denver has informed Jonas Valanciunas' reps that the franchise fully intends to have him honor his contract, as the Nuggets view Valanciunas as a critical center addition to backup Nikola Jokic and play alongside him. Greek team I can't pronounce this word. The Greek team that he wanted to play for pursued Valanciunas in recent days. So here we are. It seems like Valanciunas' heart and mind want to play in Europe. It seems like the bottom line says you got to play in the NBA. And I like the fact that Denver's not going to just roll over and let him do what he wants. I think Valanciunas on the Nuggets makes them a lot better this coming season.
Guys, I have an answer for this one that I'm surprised no one has got around to. What is everything in life always about and come down to? Money. This guy's seeing Bobby Portis Jr., a bunch of guys signing 3-year deals at $16, $17, $20 million. He's playing right now on a $10 million contract with a team option next year. And I believe he wants that team option to be a player option, that turn into another year or maybe a third year of contract at more money. This isn't the NFL. You can't just tear up this year's contract, okay? But this guy, I think, wants a little bit more of it. He's playing some great ball. He's about to play perhaps some of the best ball of his career, playing with the Nuggets and Jokic, a team that is so much better than any team he's ever played for. He's going to have a great season and outplay the value of the $10 million, and then he'll be in control by the Nuggets for 10 more next year. I think it's about the money, and I don't think it's a sour grapes. He's not going to show up. It's not because him and Jokic used to have a great rivalry and he didn't like the guy. No, I think it's coming down to some kind of contract situation. He thinks he's worth more money. He might want some more guarantees. Might want a new deal after this as a part of maybe the deal already coming over in the trade. That's kind of what I think this thing is about in the end.
And if it is a contract situation, which I think two things can be true at the same time. I think I agree with you in regards to what you're saying, but I could also subscribe to the thought that Jonas Valanciunas wants to go play close to home. I could subscribe to that he wants to play in Europe. I don't think it's a crazy thing.
No chance.
Like if you were playing, or your son or someone's playing, baseball in Taiwan or, one of these, Far East countries, you get an offer to play minor league ball back home for a year. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world to come home and have some McDonald's every now and again.
I just believe that there's more to the story, that let's kind of figure out what it's, this guy in maybe 2 or 3 years can go to that league and probably still be the best player in that league.
But I think that's what's interesting about it is if you're Jonas Valanciunas, you've got to take a look around the room and say, hey, this is a guy who spent, the first portion of his career in Toronto on some pretty competitive teams, right? But, was on Memphis for a handful of years. They were, on the ascension. I believe this was pre-Ja Morant. He was there 2019 to 2021. But the last handful of years of Jonas Valanciunas' career, essentially the prime of his careers, his age 29 to now 32 season have been wasted away. Handful of seasons in New Orleans, Washington for a half a season and Sacramento for a half season. So Jonas Valanciunas is probably burnt out on losing.
Okay, I can understand that and hear that, and that's interesting stuff. But what he has he's no dummy. The guy's been in the league for a long time, and he's been a very productive player. He's a really, really good player, okay? So he's making $10 million this year.
Yeah, he averaged 10 and 7 last year.
He's making $10 million this year and team option of $10 million next year. What if he wants the $10 million next year to be a guaranteed 15? Okay, guaranteed 15, and he wants a third year. So yeah, he's going to come and play for the Nuggets for the $10 million this year, but instead of the team option for next year and no control, he could be traded again to another team. He wants 15 and 15, so that's 3 more years essentially of guaranteed dollars and maybe a little bit more control over your the twilight of your career. We're talking about the difference in $20 million here. So let's not act like, oh man, well,
which is nothing in NBA money.
no, it is. It's a lot of money in real life. I think
In real life, it is.
I'm saying
if the Nuggets were like, okay, yeah, we'll make this last year guaranteed. That's the equivalent of me giving you an extra $20 and paying it forward for a six-pack.
I disagree. In the twilight of this guy's career, he probably wants to squeeze the most juice, as role players are making more money than they ever had in this league. And do you think he's worth more than $10 million? If he was a free agent, had been a free agent, you don't think he'd be signing for 15 or 16
Probably, yeah.
times 2 years at least?
Probably.
Absolutely. So that's where he thinks his value is. If he's mad about anything, it's about that. It's about that. And do you know what? In the end, he'll show up. In the end, he's going to show up and he's going to make it work. And it's, again, I shouldn't have said that so early in the show.
No, we got plenty of
never
show
mind.
To go, brother.
It's all up in the air.
No, well, here's the thing. I tend to agree with you as well. I think this is a little bit of business as opposed to, personal feelings
It's
from
not
Jonas
personal.
Valanciunas and his representation and whatnot. And to bring it back to Valanciunas for just a moment, he doesn't need to be in Denver, but having Jonas Valanciunas, wouldn't it be funny? Not funny, I shouldn't say, but like
Funny how? Like I'm a clown?
yeah, funny
like
how
I amuse you?
that was actually on the TV the other day at the hotel I was at. And it was weird seeing them bleep out all the words and having to make it clean for TV, that movie.
Yeah.
But it would be ironic if what has been the one major glaring problem with the Nuggets in the Jokic era?
Not enough help. Not another all-star.
But what's the position? What's been one position?
Oh, like a 4.
A 4, but also a backup center.
Okay.
A backup center has been something that has plagued the Denver Nuggets the entire time that Nikola Jokic has been on the rise. The best backup center the Nuggets have had in the Nikola Jokic era was Mason Plumlee. And Mason Plumlee, Plumdog Millionaire, was fine in spurts, right? But you had Jay Huff for a while. Isaiah Hartenstein, who's now blossomed to be a pretty good player for the Oklahoma City Thunder, was good for the Knicks a couple of seasons ago. But just when you think you got it all figured out with the backup center position. All right, we're dumping Dario Saric. We're getting off that contract. Oh, and we're bringing in Jonas Valanciunas. We're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That was the vibe. That was the sentiment around the Denver Nuggets when they made the move for Jonas Valanciunas. It would be so Nuggets, so Nug life, that if you finally feel like you got this backup center position solved and Jonas Valanciunas puts his foot down and says, I don't want to play in the NBA, I'm going to Greece.
I mean, that's great stuff, Nilla. That's why you're one of the best, okay?
But is that not peak Nug life, though?
Those are lots of great words you said, okay? I just feel like this guy's coming. It's a no-brainer. This is actually...
No-brainer?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a match made in heaven.
I wish I had your optimism, brother.
I just think there's a little bit more to the story. And what's the story? What's usually kind of come down to is
the rest is still unwritten.
Your contract situation. So, again, this guy in you said I look at it like, let's get you the production and the numbers he had last season when he played a full season with the Pelicans, and actually in 82 full games. In 23 minutes, he gave you 12 and 9 in 23 minutes on a team that was kind of bad. You're without Zion for half of the season. Ingram, your guy Brandon Ingram gets traded. You're kind of blowing it up. Yet this guy was still pretty productive and the one kind of mainstay for a team that only needed 23 minutes out of him. He's still giving you 13 and
I don't think anyone's
essentially
questioning the production of Jonas Valanciunas.
This guy's
it's the heart and
still
desire.
really good.
I agree, and that's
don't question heart and desire.
No, because you
Don't
said
say
this
that.
guy's still really good. I 100% agree with you, which is why I think it's so important that Denver figures out a way to get him bought in for this
What
season.
leverage does this guy have is to make a
He has
threat?
none.
Hey,
He has
you better
none.
give me another year in this contract. Hey, make it a player option the next year so I can become a free agent at the end of this year. Okay, team option for next year. No, he wants player option. I'm going to become a free agent. I'm about to go cook in Denver. I'm about to average 14 or 15 and 10 and look like one of the best role players in the league. I'm going to be, he knows it's his agent's telling him this. And, therefore, this is easy for him. Make it a player option instead of the team option.
Or just guarantee
I become a free agent, and then maybe I'll resign with you, but I need some of that Bobby Portis change.
Here's the thing. Here's how this whole story gets thrown away, how this potential non-story becomes, a figment of our imagination. Josh Kroenke picks up the phone. Nicole, I'm sorry to bug you. We'll talk about this on Check Your Ex as well. He just had one of his horses won a big race apparently over the weekend as well. But Josh has to call up Nikola and say, hey, buddy, sorry to bug you. I know we have this handshake agreement that we don't talk to you at all during the NBA offseason. You're our employee when the season's around. When it's not, you get to do what you want. But we need you to pick up the phone and talk to your buddy Jonas and make sure that Jonas is locked in and ready to go. Because here's the thing, even if, and I think it's a 5% chance, nothing more than that, I think it's a slim chance that Jonas Valanciunas does not play for the Denver Nuggets and does opt to figure out a way to play in Europe. Even if that does happen, the trade is still a win for Denver because they get off Dario Saric, and they also, it messes with their cap a little bit, so they have access now to the full mid-level exception. But all Josh has to do is call up Nikola, and then from there, Nikola has to call up his boy Jonas Valanciunas and say, brother, what are you doing?
Let me tell you something, brother. Does he have to talk to him like that?
In Jokic's voice or in his groove voice? I don't know.
Okay.
But point being, Jokic could pick up the phone and talk to Jonas and say, brother, you and I can run the EuroLeague for a decade when we're in our 40s. Right now, we've got a legitimate squad here in Denver. Get your butt on this plane come training camp, come media day, and let's go win a championship. I think all Nikola has to do is pick up the phone and talk to Jonas Valanciunas, and this will be a non-story.